Hello!
Yon.
Episode
Episode
19.
19. Yan. So
Ang
back
daming
naman.
nangyari.
I know, man.
Init
How was
lalo.
your holidays?
Tatrabaho pa rin. Wala namang holiday pag sa content. Talagang araw-araw gumagawa pa rin ng videos pa rin. So, yun pa rin. Ikaw?
Iba talaga pag vlogger. Ilan ba per day ang mo, Mark? Parang 6-7 minsan nabibilang ko.
Ganun. 6 videos, 7
Grabe.
videos. Sayang
Dati,
sayang
3-4. Yeah, daming content. So, kamusta ka, Mark? How are you holding up? Busy yata kayo sa camp niya.
Busy ngayon. Di ba nagsimula kami sa Batangas, tapos sa Tarlac,
Right.
tapos last week sa Pampanga, and hindi na ako sumama sa Nueva Vizcaya. So, this week meron na kami
Pero
malayo.
Cebu
malayo
next,
din.
no? Cebu next, diba?
Tapos sunod-sunod na eh. So, lalo pa pag campaign period. So, ayan, enjoy naman, pero nakakapagod na. Ikaw, kamusta?
Okay naman, bumabalik ako sa academic works ko. Finally, may time na ako. May low time ako, so I can write yung mga long academic works. Pero soon, hopefully, balik na naman tayo into action kasi upcoming yung issue ng replacement and issue ng qualifications or disqualifications for that matter. Di ba, Mark? I think yung mainit na issue over the past week.
Ngayon.
Yeah, so we know one person in particular has been singled out by a number of legal experts, critics, and others na pwede ba siya tumakbo kasi mukhang itong tao na to ay may kaso, no? Sino ba yan?
Ito ba yung tinatawag nilang si Marcos Jr.? Yun ba yun?
Yan.
Hindi si BBM, si Marcos Jr. Ayun. So, yun, merong disqualification case na...
So, anong alam mo dyan? Anong alam mo sa disqualification case? Ano yung mga discussions online, bro? Pakishare nga sa atin.
Yun, dahil daw ito doon sa 1995 na tax evasion case kay Bongbong Marcos na he evaded taxes while he was governor of Ilocos Norte. So that was a few years before People Power. So I think 3 or 4 years yon, hindi daw siya nagbayad ng buwis. Tapos he was...
Wait lang, baby daw siya, di ba? Baby daw si Bongbong. Governor, baby governor bang meron?
Willie Revillame eh. Hindi, joke lang. He was already governor nun. Milo.
Okay-emphasize yan ha, kasi sinasabi ni iba, baby pa daw sila nun eh. Ay pala, medyo mataas-taas ang position pala ni Kuya. So, pala, hindi na siya junior.
He was governor at that time. So, meron daw conviction nung 1995. Tapos, pero na-push. So, he was convicted. 3 years daw dapat makukulong. Pero ang nangyari, sa Court of Appeals, natalo pa din. Hindi na nila inusog sa Supreme Court. Pinabayaran na lang yata yung penalty o yung fee, pero walang jail time. So, ito ngayon yung ginagamit dahil daw dun sa Omnibus Election Code daw, bawal daw pag ikaw ay isang convicted of a crime, with more than 18 months I think yun yung nakalagay. Pas 18 months. And moral, what's the word they use? Parang moral turpitude, parang ganun.
Turpitude, yes, correct.
Yun, turpitude.
Yes. Right.
So, kapag daw merong ganun, hindi ka daw pwedeng tumakbo for public office.
Right. So, ang alam ko dito sa case na yan is, actually, this concerns tax payments ni Marcos from 1982 to 1985, no? So may mga criminal cases na file sa kanya. Si Marcos Jr., of course, mahilig sila dito. Nag-appeal sila sa Court of Appeals, no? But in 1997, na-affirm yung decision of the trial court, no? With some modification nangyari. So hindi na-drop yung case, no? So ayon sa Court of Appeals, ito 1997 ito, the Court of Appeals rendered a decision finding Marcos Jr. guilty beyond reasonable doubt of violation of Section 45 of NIRC for failure to file income tax returns for the taxable years 1982 to 1985 in criminal cases numbers and blah, blah, blah. So here, ito final na yan. Actually, finalized na yan. So guilty beyond reasonable doubt. So ito po yung sinabi ng Court of Appeals after nag-complain sila doon sa kaso nila. But this is where, Mark, things get interesting. And this is why, Mark, when you say bakit lumalakas ang pro-martial law, bakit lumalakas yung mga anti-Aquino, ito ang problema natin. Yung ating mga courts, they're not doing their job. So, despite finding Marcos Jr. guilty, no, of failure to file his income tax returns, ukol dun sa yung position niya in government from 1982 to 1985, yung Court of Appeals imposed on Marcos Jr. only a fine without any imprisonment, no? Although clear mandatory requirements sa ilalim ng tax code na hindi lang dapat fine, dapat may imprisonment din, no? So I think 3 years dapat yung something like that, no? Yung nakita natin sa early. So in short, parang Court of Appeals says guilty ka pa rin, pero hindi na kailangan makulong ka, no? Which raises its own question. Kamusta ang mga court systems natin? How credible they are? How independent they are? So ito yung story ng essentially, ito yung story ng Pilipinas since the end of Marcos regime. Constant failure of our judicial institutions to uphold justice and hold people accountable. Now, ito interesting ito, Marka. Let me say this. Because parati sinasabi, the guilt of the father is not the guilt of the son, or the sins of the father is not the sins of the son. But interestingly, Marcos wanted to claim $658 million Swiss account ng tatay niya, which of course has been classified as ill-gotten wealth. Yung korte sa Switzerland, sabi na ibalik ito sa gobyerno ng Pilipinas, but yung korte dito sa Pilipinas sided with the Marcoses. So, this is the issue, Mark. This is the issue. We keep on talking about the Aquinos, the Congress, the failures of our leaders, the shortcomings, but let's not forget, one reason na napakasikat si Pangulong Duterte noong 2016 nung sanabi niya, kumbaga, essentially extrajudicial yung solution niya sa problema is because yung judicial institutions, yung normal procedures, hindi gumagaan or worse than mabagal, di ba, Mark? Medyo nagsaside with the rich and the powerful. Ito po yung problema. We're not saying all courts are bad, but unfortunately, many big fish, ay hindi na-uphold yung justice in their cases, no? So, in many ways, ito yung sinasabi ko, Mark, na we're paying the price for the failures of our judicial institutions also. Hindi lang sila, but they have been part of the problem throughout the years. Now, nonetheless, hindi siya nakulong, baka hindi ito maging grounds for disqualification. Ikaw, Mark, anong say mo dyan? So I went specifically dun sa details kasi alam ko may mga friends, haters tayo dyan, no? Want to play, so we're trying to get the details very exact here, no? You were saying, Mark, anong take mo dito sa issue ng courts and judicial systems?
Mahirap din talagang, kasi dun sa trial court na una, di ba 3 years daw dapat? Tapos pagdating sa Court of Appeals, wala na. So ano yung susundin doon pagdating dito sa COMELEC? So yun ang
which marks? Yeah, you were saying. Please.
Ang magdedesisyon, of course, yung COMELEC. Ang tanong, sino ba yung mga nasa COMELEC ngayon? Sino, di ba? Parang syempre doon papasok yung issue na syempre ayaw natin silang akusahan ng any bias or any ano. Pero syempre, usap-usapan dyan na sino ba nag-appoint dito, sino ba taga saan ba dito, ilan ba yung taga-COMELEC na taga nitong lugar. So doon tuloy papasok yung issue na yan kung how far are they willing to take this case and kung seryoso ba talaga sila na i-disqualify. Of course, tinitira din ngayon yung kasi ang pinapasabi, ito daw ay isang move daw ng kampo nila Lenny para daw subukang i-disqualify si Marcos Jr.
Kasi leading siya.
Kasi leading siya. And malakas siya sa mga surveys daw. So, Pero yung I think yung abogado na nag-file nito, tama ba si who's the lawyer ba behind this? Parang si Harvey.
Disqualification case against Marcos. I won't be surprised hindi lang one camp. There'll be multiple camps going behind it. Remember yung nangyari kay Grace Paul? Hindi lang camp hindi one camp. There were multiple camps. Remember nung nangyari sa kanya? I could easily say 2 or 3 camps were behind that. No, at least 2 camps. The other 2 presidential camps. We don't need to name names, but I know these people, right? Yung isa pa nga, I'm not even sure anong camp niya, pero former colleague ko na hindi naman lawyer nakisali doon sa Supreme Court case kay Grace Paul. So, but the other lawyers, I mean, the real lawyers, I know also them. And so I'm kind of familiar. So, honestly, since ito yung problema, Mark, no? Kung early leader ka, hanapin ka talaga ng butas eh. You're the tallest grass eh. You're the tallest grass.
Ang tanong na lang nga dyan is kung saan ba pupwesto itong sila Duterte. Have you heard yung hindi natin na pag-usapan pa, yung Plan C? Did you read about that? Yung kay yung article ni Montulfo.
Pag si Duterte, Plan Z pa yan. That guy has no plan A lang. That guy has A, B, C, D, Z. Ano yung plan C?
Yun. So, you haven't read it pa. So, ang plan A, Bongo and, Bongo and Digong. That was plan A.
Of course, yeah. That was the super plan. Yeah.
That was
democracy.
Putin and parang ganun.
Yeah. Medvedev. Yeah. Of course. That was the very...
So, that didn't work out. Plan B is Sara and Bongo.
Of course.
Kaso umayaw si Sara.
Yeah.
Sara,
kasi lumakas lalo si Bongbong.
Sara ran away. So, yun yung plan B.
Run away.
According ito dun sa article.
Ano? Bato Bongo? Bato Bongbong?
No. So, ang plan C daw, according sa article ni Montulfo, yung kuya, they will ally now. No choice na sila, susuko na sila. They will become allies na with Bongbong.
Of course.
Tapos,
and Bongo.
VP si Bongo and Senate President si Digong. And kung makikita mo yung mga moves ngayon, yung mga lumalabas na news ngayon, merong calls like from Cusi, from Bato, na magsenador ka na President Duterte.
Yes, nakita ko yung kay Cusi.
Yeah, and someone from social media, I always follow sponsored posts. So sa social media, that's how you get clues. Follow the money.
Right.
Saan merong sponsored post. At ang nakikita ko na sponsored post ngayon ay Bongo as Vice President. Diba yung si tate, yung
diba,
si Digong,
actually Marcos himself said that, diba, Mark like bong to the third power, something like that.
And
like, bongo.
Yeah.
Bong to the third power.
He is extending his hand.
Marcos
He is extending his hand sa mga Duterte para hindi na siya kalabanin. So napaka-brilliant ng strategy ni Bongbong na intentionally hindi siya naglagay ng VP para to
at
make
Senate.
At Senate to make it look like he is extending na his hands to the Duterte. Pero kung ayaw nyo, I am open sa ibang options. So, diba, dun yung options na baka daw si Pacquiao. There's that option of Governor Gwen. Baka si Governor Gwen, baka
si Gwen is still in the conversation for one reason or the other. Obviously, siya yung nag-host ng weekend meeting.
Yes, yung kanyang social media, parang national pa rin ng positioning, yung probinsyana.
Of course.
Diba? If you're just running for Cebu Governor, hindi ganun ang tagline mo na probinsyana kasi lahat kayo probinsyano Probinsyana Diba? That would be
correct.
Your tagline. So, posible din yung si Governor Gwen. So,
social nga yung mga taga Cebu Social yun. Tapos probinsyano pa sila. Isus.
Ayun. pero yun nga. So, ang point, Bongbong needs someone from Vismin. Kasi doon siya pinakamahina. So, yun ang tanong lang kung
makes sense.
Kung will he survive yung barrage ng attacks na that will coming his way from all sides. So, yun ang makikita.
Ano mangyari kay Bato? Si Bato.
Nothing to lose naman si Bato. So, pwedeng nandun lang siya
as parang props. Parang
insurance policy, parang gano'n. Wingman or...
I'm not sure. Insurance kasi hindi naman yun makakash in Parang siya Or figurine. Alam mo yung lalagay mong
pang distract din or may gamit din yun, di ba? Pag merong
dinidefend niya nga si Marcos, di ba? Sabi niya, wag na si Marcos. So wingman talaga siya doon. Parang Robin siya. Siya yung Robin. Na nandun sa stage na.
Backup din kasi hindi natin masabi.
Just in case
something, di ba?
Happens to Bongbong, So hindi lang plan C. Sabay-sabay yung plan C and plan D and plan E.
Plan D de la Rosa. Yung plan D.
Tama yan.
Si Bato. Yung pala yung plan D. Kung no choice tayo, pilitin na lang natin to si Bato.
I always said, diba, Bongbong Marcos will position himself as the top choice and then he's open to team up for the lower choices. Kumbaga, unified team, but on Marcos terms. Kumbaga, andun pa rin yung alliance. Ang nasa taas ngayon naman ang Marcos. Dati kasi baliktad. So, timing. But things also fell into the right place, diba? Tapos ang yabang-yabang kasing Duterte tandem, nagdrama-drama sila, may Bongo Sara.
They didn't take care of the Marcoses
Exactly. The Marcoses were just waiting for their entry time. Boom. So yun, so if Sara was preparing to run for the past few months, Bongbong was preparing to run since 1991 nung bumalik sila. So yun lang, just preparation time lang, medyo talo na kayo dyan, di ba? So I'm not surprised at all. But nga, but going back to this issue, no, kasi yung isang malaking issue ngayon with Comelec is yung Dennis Uy group daw, di ba? Yung affiliated
F2
kay Dennis Uy,
Logistics.
F2 Logistics na mag-handle ng at least some aspects of the automated elections. Again, I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to be expert kasi complicated yung processes when it comes to automated elections. Dati nga, nakausap ko yung mga dating in charge of automated elections. I just realized it's not as simple as that. But, kasi ito yung point ko kasi, officially, top donor si Dennis Uy, di ba? Dun sa campaign ni Duterte. So, identified talaga siya with President Duterte's side. So, whatever they want to say. Pangalawa, ang problema natin is since the introduction of automated elections, naalala ba yung first time nag-automated tayo? Kasi nabutan natin yung mga manual time pa, di ba? Diyos ko, yung 2004 ba yan, yung manual?
Oh.
I mean, yung kay FPJ at saka Arroyo.
Hindi natin narinig masyado yung dagdag bawas eh. Yung
mga ganun, di ba? Yung talagang grabe yun, di ba? Yung biglang mawala ng electricity habang nagbibilang daw yung mga tao sa, I don't know, somewhere in the Philippines. So we moved gradually to automated, fully automated, no? Although meron ka pa rin, backup for canvassing, di ba? Kung sakaling may problema. Kaya yun ang ginawa ni Marcos, except he lost even more votes na contest siya, di ba? So we already have these issues, yung 7-hour glitch daw, hocus pocus. So akin lang kasi, Mark, is like, you already have a shadow of doubt, no? Over itong automated elections hocus pocus issue. I'm not sure this was the smartest choice. Wala na bang ibang tao? Kailangan ba yung Duterte campaign donor affiliated company ba talaga mag-take? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, and to be honest, Mark, I don't know anong alam mo kay Dennis Uy. I'm sure he was a great businessman in Davao, but I'm not sure Dennis Uy was like one of the top businessmen in the country or the world na expertise in telecommunications and logistics like automated. Like, I'm not sure that's really his background. So, ang akin lang, Mark, that's gonna raise not only eyebrows, but seriously, I'm telling you, Mark, I'm getting more and more requests and webinars about election cheating or post-election violence, etc. So many, by the way, these are coming from big business from abroad. They're giving invitation. They're inviting also professors, experts from abroad who are experts in this issue, no? Yung mga mambo jumbo sa automated elections. So honestly, hindi good vibes ang nangyari dito, and the fact that a lot of Comelec people, I think si Guazon lang yung hindi diba? Hindi Duterte appointee. I'm not sure this is very helpful. And then meron kang James Jimenez, now one of the few consistently neutral person, and then ngayon parang tinitwisting words niya ng one camp against the other. So I don't know, I think Comelec is really under pressure. So they have to prove that they're really independent, right? To prove that talaga yung mandate nila, ina-embody nila sa practices nila. So I'm not very encouraged dito sa circumstances around the latest F2 logistics issue. Again, I'm not saying that Dennis Uy wants to do something. I'm not going to say that. We're not stupid. We're not going to make... But I'm just saying there's already a perception problem. So kung may perception problem ka, isn't it better to err on the side of caution? Yun ang kasing concern ko, Mark. Ikaw, Mark, anong take mo dito sa issue na yan?
Oo nga eh. And hindi lang sa logistics side, maski yung sa susi or yung doon sa software code. Mismo.
Code, yeah. Yung mga code, yeah. Diba? Tapos may transmission part pa.
Rumors na lumalabas about kung sino yung may control and all that. And kaya doon nga yung sumasabi na whoever wins, kailangan malaki yung lamang para hindi ma-magic or ano. So, yan. What can we do?
At dito mahalaga yung surveys, di ba, Mark? Kasi kung medyo malayo-layo yung result na final doon sa median na mga credible surveys, medyo magtataka ka, no? So I think we really need even more credible surveys now, because in the past at least hindi lumalayo yung resulta, no? In fact, Pulse Asia, in fairness to them, they accurately got 2010 and 2016 very accurately, even more than SWS, no? So I think that's why very mahalaga itong dalawang survey agencies na they keep that integrity, and hopefully the perception of their integrity also stays. Kasi nga but again, I know I'm jumping very much ahead, but I'm not sure how open you can discuss this, but are you guys ready just in case some mumbo jumbo happens? Kasi, I mean, in other countries, there's protest, there's contestation. I mean, this is hopefully this is a kind of a D-Day scenario or kind of a worst case scenario, but it's not impossible, right? I think all camps should be ready in the opposition. And I see Isko's opposition. I mean, he's not administration, obviously, despite all the blah, blah, blah they say about him. He's not administration yet. So is the Isko camp ready?
All camps should be ready. Lahat na kailangan maghahanda ng mag-ready sa ganyang scenario kung sakali.
Tsaka volunteers, no? Around the country. Going back to this issue ng COMELEC and all, may controversy din si Lenny over the past week. Dun sa sinabi niya, take the money but don't vote. Right? Ayan, happy ka na. See? Fair tayo dito. Hindi lang tayo ganun. Let's go to that issue because James Jimenez kind of took a big issue with that. And then the Bongo Marcos people made a mountain out of the molehill. Right? So that was like a feast, no? I don't know what the heck were they thinking about in the Lenny camp by saying that in public, no? Maybe you can say that behind the scenes because it kind of makes sense, right? Sige, kung talagang kailangan mo ng pera at eto kurakot naman, kunin mo yung pera pero wag mo siyang botohin. But kasi Mark, itong problema Studies show, no? So I was checking some of the studies, some political science studies show that actually politicos have a way to monitor how the vote comes out. So for instance, they monitor your Facebook posts. They monitor, for instance, kung yung barangay nyo, binigyan ka ng pera at di kayo bumoto, talo yung kandidato na yan sa babalikan kayo. So for the sake of avoiding problem, any headache, pag kinuha yung pera, lalo second round, no? Might as well go with them. Kasi ganun yung problema. Kasi I also realized, kasi Mark, hindi mag-work yung argument na pamoral na don't get the money. It doesn't work. People need money. I mean, the desperation is there, diba? Parang point nila, ito na nga lang chance namin, mabawi namin yung mga ninanakaw, diba? But at the same time, the problem is...
In some cases kasi sila pa yung nanghihingi Parang sila pa yung...
right.
In a lot of cases, they're expecting...
Which is understandable, Mark. I don't agree with it, but it's understandable. May sakit yung anak mo, wala kayong makain.
Saka walang nahuhuli. Kasi siguro kung may nahuhuli, kung may people would be more scared to do that. Wala namang nahuhuli, nakailang eleksyon na tayo. Meron akong advice dyan. Kasi
yes, please, go ahead. I want to take your point on that and actually what you think about Lenny also saying that. Kasi
sa akin, I don't
bash yun
I don't take too much offense dun sa kanyang sinabi. Na may point din naman nga, pero sa akin ito yung
pangit lang yung communications. Pati you don't see that in public.
Pero magandang napag-usapan na din. Pero ang sinabi ko sa vlog ko niyan, nung lumabas yan, sabi ko, pag may vote buying, binigyan ka ng pera, kunin mo, tapos isumbong mo dun sa kalaban, malay mo, taasan yung bigay.
So, yung bidding wars? Bidding wars. Alam ko sa amin sa Ilocos, nangyari nag-second round pa yung isang gagawin. Hindi ko sabihin kung sino.
May logic din sa sinabi ko. Merong doon. May logic yun sa kung bakit ko sinabi yun.
Of course.
Bakit mo susumbong doon sa kalaban? Para yung kalaban yung gumawa ng moves na magsumbong.
Right.
Kasi kung yung kalaban,
kung ikaw mismo,
mismo, 'di ba? Anong power mo to
Actually, my point ka. That's a very interesting point. So you kumbaga, you're giving ammunition to the opposition to uphold the law.
To uphold the law. It's up to them na.
Not black propaganda, but talagang dodgy, di ba? Dodgy business. That's very interesting. I like that. I like that idea.
Akala mo joke lang, di ba? Pero
no, but it makes sense. It makes actually very good sense.
You place it on them, hindi sa'yo. Hindi ikaw yung
you pass the burden to them.
Pass the burden to them. Kung what
That's
will they do with this knowledge? Dalawa yan, either isumbong nila sa COMELEC o hayaan lang nila or taasan nila. So
play your options well, right? Yun ang sinasabi natin. Hindi tayo mga moral effect. I mean, we're just very realistic about the harsh realities on the ground. But even with harsh realities, kasi, I mean, Mark, lahat naman ng bansa nagsimula dyan. Panoorin mo yung gangs of New York sa US. Grabe, di ba? Mga gangs ng mayor office, purong gang. Yung di ba? So, all of us, even yung mga advanced countries ngayon, dumaan din sa process na yan. So, maybe we can learn something from them. Paano sila umalis sa situation na yan. So, as realistic as...
Totoo. Hanggat walang nahuhuli, hanggat walang napoprosecute, or hanggat hindi siniseryoso, it comes down ulit dun sa sinasabi mo kanina,
COMELEC.
Justice system. COMELEC and justice system, di ba? Kasi If no one will get convicted, so what's the use pa?
Right. Diba? Impunity Itong problema talaga natin, Mark, no? Impunity sa ating bansa, lalo sa mga mayayaman or drug lord in that case, no? Ang konti sa kanila ever has been held accountable for anything. I mean, even si Erap nung nakulong siya conviction, pinalaya din siya ni Arroyo over time, 'di ba? I mean, for political reasons. I mean, Duterte ilan ang pinalaya niya, 'di ba? So I think one reason I will tell you na people are becoming more pro martial law. I don't agree na pro, but more pro authoritarian. I'll just use that term. More authoritarian tao is because they have lost confidence sa democratic institutions, no, ability to uphold justice, no. So kung it takes a strong man to do it, maybe palpak si Duterte, but hopefully another authoritarian will do it. Yung ganun yung mindset, 'di ba? Kasi wala nang tao, wala na silang paniwala, hindi na sila believe. Kaya nga dirty Harry justice, 'di ba? Cowboy justice. Hindi ka maasa dyan sa sheriff kasi yung sheriff loko-loko So doon ka na take your justice into your hands, vigilante style, wild west. So I think unfortunately yung problema. So ang laki ng problema ng mga judicial system natin. Ang dami natin abogado, pero ang konting hustisya. Ay, gusto ko yung ang gandang yan. Daming abogado, konting hustisya. Maganda yan Maganda yan, isulat natin.
So, yun talaga ang yun talaga ang kailangang ayusin. Kaso ang mag-aayos din yung it comes from the top din, yung presidente din, kung sino yung i-appoint sa DOJ. Pero kung walang incentive sa presidente na ayusin, kasi it benefits him and his friends. So paano naman yun, di ba? So it's a never-ending cycle.
Yes. Unless, of course, we get a good president who really pushes for some changes dun sa appointment, may scrutiny. So for instance, sa US, for instance, again, not a perfect system, but in the US, pag nag-appoint ka ng isang justice sa Supreme Court, dapat dadaan ito sa Senado. So dapat ma-approve din ng Senado, parang commission appointments, no? So for instance, sa atin walang ganun Yung Supreme Court halos diretso na, di ba? Dadaan lang sa whatever, but diretso na. So walang scrutiny ng ibang branches.
Pero Supreme Court ba ang mag-aayos nung sa justice system natin or sa DOJ din? DOJ din
may checks and balance tayo, di ba? So the executive can do it through the DOJ. The legislative can also do it through scrutiny. The same way na may judicial review. Na the Supreme Court can also check kung may abuse yung executive. Kaya nga yung principles of checks and balances. No branch of the state is supreme on its own terms. It can check and be balanced by other branches of the state. Ito yung separation of powers sa system natin na nakuha natin sa mga Amerikano. No, so I think goes back to works of Montesquieu among others. So yun yung principle ruling the Philippines. But yun nga, another thing I will tell you, Mark, is remember yung issue ng election interference, malaking issue yan sa US, yung Russia interference, sa Taiwan, China interference. So dito sa Pilipinas, tinanong ko actually si James Jimenez, pwede niya hanapin yan sa YouTube. Interview namin, I did it with GMA the other year before pandemic. Tinanong ko sa kanya, James, meron ba tayong batas laban sa foreign financing? No, yung pera na galing abroad na pupunta sa ibang kandidato to serve the interests of foreign powers or foreign actors or businessmen. Apparently, parang wala. Wala tayong batas. Wala tayong foreign financing, wala tayong election interference legislation. So honestly, very reckless po.
Pero the thing is, hindi din naman makikita Even if merong batas, hindi din naman nagde-declare ng financing yung mga kandidato So
kaya nga dapat meron kang mga mechanisms.
Electoral reforms.
May FBI, kaya may NBI ka, you know what I'm saying? So you can create a commission to actually audit, no? At monitor ito yung mga white money and dirty money that gets into elections. So Taiwan has that to make sure na yung China hindi niya i-co-op yung mga kanilang politicians. Australia also introduced election financing regulations. US also has that, to deal with interference from Russia and others. Singapore, not a democracy, but Singapore also has regulations, even on social media, no? So kung suspected yung social media mo ay foreign financed or foreign-based na nagpo-push ng specific agenda of a specific party, actually pwede ka maban. Or that account can be banned, or persons behind that account can be held accountable if they're citizens of Singapore or residents of Singapore. So ang term dyan is sharp power. Ito yung ginagamit ng mga other powers to infiltrate yung system. So yung mga babayaran nila yung mga influencers, bloggers, media. So hindi lang bayaran po yung media, bayaran din yung mga ibang influencers, bayaran din yung mga politiko, ganun. So yun yung ginagawa nila. So unfortunately, since we don't have any specific mechanism to deal with that, which is like shockingly reckless and irresponsible in my opinion.
Parang
We're not naming names,
din nga
I'm
yung
just
mga
saying this.
Open secret din yung pag si ganitong bilyonaryo magbibigay ng ganitong pera kay ganito.
Right.
Si ganitong politiko magbibigay ng ganitong pera. Wala eh. Lahat is off the books eh. Hindi na mo monitor lahat eh. So what more kung galing sa abroad yung pera? How can you say, di ba? Kung yun nga hindi na mo monitor. You don't know where that
But even worse, di ba, Mark? Kasi iba yung oligarch, iba yung foreign power, di ba? I mean, it's not like oligarchs want to, I don't know, own West Philippine Sea, right? But the foreign power we know wants to own the West Philippine Sea. So the stakes are even higher, right? So in that sense, not to mention, of course, foreign powers through oligarchs can also do stuff, right? So yun nga eh, napaka-toothless ang COMELEC. Yan ang problema ko eh. Hindi lang independence yung issue, yung toothlessness din yung issue. So we really have to do something about it. At ewan ko, ikaw Mark, kasi para sa akin weird din na wala tayong run-off elections. Parang ano lang, one time, big time, which is, I don't know, weird eh. Just because we didn't have big problems in the past doesn't mean that it will not be a problem in the future, di ba? Dapat may foresight tayo. Kasi sabihin natin, Lenny Manalo or Marcos, tapos may never on both sides, tapos ang kinuha mo lang vote, 20-30%, 70% di bumoto sa'yo. Magkakaproblema ka ganun, di ba? I mean, your mandate could be questioned very much, di ba? So,
I think yung sa runoff elections, that is something na na feasible and pwede nating i-explore and pwede nating subukan sa mga susunod na elections. On a national
advocacy
level.
na lang natin yan.
Pwede. Electoral reforms. Sa electoral reforms.
Electoral reforms. Party reforms, no? Yung real political parties, hindi lang political dynasty.
Isa pa yan. Yan ang mas medyo mahirap na
correct.
I always say this, Yung kasi nakikita natin yung problema sa parties, yung problema sa dynasty, yung problema sa lahat ng yung vote buying, lahat na yan. Pero mga simptomas lang yan eh. It all comes down to one root problem eh. It comes down to one root problem na ang politika sa atin, negosyo. Karamihan, I'm not saying all, pero karamihan, marami, negosyo.
Yun ang trend eh. Yeah. Family business.
Family business. Yun ang problema. I'm not judging. Siyempre, meron dyan magaganda magagawa. Meron dyan
may exceptions.
Magagawa.
May exceptions naman.
Merong noble family business, pero family business pa rin eh. So yun ang mahirap baguhin kasi kung para baguhin yan, kailangan mong marami kang tatamaan. Marami kang
Pero tama rin si Leloy, naalala mo yung sinabi niya na the other thing, in the meantime, payamanin natin ang mga Pilipino. Kasi habang yung mayaman ng mga voters mo, they become more conscious about their choices. Hindi sila desperado to... You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if the Philippines keeps on growing and yung per capita income natin, sabi natin, mas malapit sa Malaysia, which is around $10,000, or Turkey, yung mga ganun bansa, feeling ko mas kokonting vote buying. Kasi mahirap talaga tayong bansa eh. Our per capita income is like $3,000. In comparison, US per capita is like $70,000. Malaysia is around $10,000. So we're really a poor country. So yun ang point ko eh. Malaki pa rin yung middle class natin. I'm not saying purong poor lang. But the reality is that habang mababa pa yung level ng pag-unlad natin, maging laganap itong problema eh. So if you look at the US, they were in the same situation 100 years ago, nung very poor din ng average Americans, no? 100 years ago. But I think as Americans became rich, lumaki middle class, hindi mo ma-vote buying middle class, di ba? I mean, kung ikaw, bentayin mo yung vote mo for 4,000? Obviously no, di ba? Feel ko, kahit 50,000, di mo bebentayin, di ba? So parang, gets mo, iba eh. Kasi may pride ka na eh, di ba? Ma-pride ka eh. Kasi kumikita naman ako, ba't ko bebenta yan, di ba? So yun yung desperation factor ay wala doon, no? I'm not saying just because you're poor, you're this or that. No, I'm just saying the tendency na you'll be willing, amenable to sell your vote will decrease as you rise through the ranks. So feeling ko, ang kailangan talaga natin for the next 20 years, mag-grow lang tayo na economy at slowly mag-introduce tayo ng electoral reforms, party reforms, and I think hopefully over time, even if political dynasties, yung mga susunod na henerasyon, kahit paras ng pamilya, ay umaayos. Tingnan mo si Nancy Binay. Right? Love na love siya ng mga dilawan ngayon. Di ba? Binay na. Tuloy yung tatay na naging na-rehabilitate sa mga dilawan. Di ba?
Separate na issue din to doon sa sinasabi mo. Totoo yun. This problem will take decades to solve. And yung i-grow muna yung economy. Pero kasabay din yan yung sa ito naman yung personal ko din. Yung sa population growth.
Oh yeah. Malaking issue yan.
Yeah, there needs to be a way na palakihin yung economy, pabagalin yung growth ng population.
Yeah.
Kasi Yeah.
But diba, isn't that where Aquino and Duterte are on the same page, right? Yung RH bill ni Aquino, sinuport ni Duterte. I mean, this is what people don't discuss. On some issues, actually, magkatugma ang dalawang administration na yan. And I think it's correct. RH bill is about empowering people to make family planning choices because mahalaga naman yan, di ba? Kasi hindi tayo pwede umasa sa withdrawal lang
siguro more incentives, more. Pero we need to, kailangan pa kontiin kasi kahit sabihin nating blessing yan, kahit sabihin nating ano yan, yung quality of life ng mga bata nung lumalaki. Di ba? Yung development nila, yung development nila sa schooling, sa body
nutrition.
Nutrition. So hindi natin kaya sa ngayon So baka,
I mean, we're very overpopulated. I mean, in natin yan, we really have
even if we grow big in the next 10-20 years, yung population naman natin sumobra lobo din. Ganun din. We're
so
back
yung average per capita mababa pa rin.
Mababa pa rin. So we're back to where we started. So I think yun yung dagdag din dyan.
Tama, Mark. That's very good to point because Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam all of them. Indonesia, by the way, is a democracy, no? And Thailand was sometimes democracy, sometimes not. They actually introduced family planning programs, no? So yung fertility rates nila is nasa replacement level, which is 2 kids per family. So to replace the mom and dad, hindi na yung mga 4, 5 levels ng Philippines and ganun. Even Bangladesh, another democracy, has significantly decreased their fertility rates, no, to replace, more closer to replacement level. Kasi ang mangyayari dyan, of course, habang dumadami yung mga bata, ang tawag dyan sa demographics youth bulge, kawawa yung mga parents. So imagine 2 parents, matanda na, sinusupport pa rin 10 yung anak, di ba? God gives us reason, right? Kaya nga binigyan tayo ng faculties ng Diyos no? Para mag-isip tayo, magplano tayo, no? And if may siyensya naman dyan that you can make right choices, then so be it. At saka, aminin natin, the tendency is that the poorer the families, the more kids. I'm not sure that's by choice. I'm not sure that's by design. I'm very sure it's because wala silang, sapat na edukasyon or sapat na kakayahan, no, para makontrol yung family planning. I mean, yung idea na natural process withdrawal, I'm not sure that really works. I mean, just look at the evidence. It doesn't work, right? So, yeah, yun lang. But thank you very much. That's a very good point that you raised. So, balik kasi ito, relevant ito sa issue natin. Kasi relevant ito lahat yung Marcos issue and all of that. These are all symptoms of some fundamental problem in our society, di ba? Kaya nga, people do not feel too strong about EDSA, democracy and all, because kitang-kita di ba? Kaya this is where I like the ISCO line, no? Ayan, babash na ako. Which is, pragmatic din tayo yung realidad on the ground. We can debate the debates, we can fight for human rights, pero yung social justice on the ground, huwag natin kalimutan yung everyday challenges, huwag natin kalimutan. Yung sinabi ni Samira Gotok, yung maganda kay Mayor, Yorme is, alam niya sinong engineer ang tawagin niya. Kilala yung plumber, di ba? Mismo ang plumber. Ganun ka-level, no? Yung hands-on talaga na leadership, no? Of course, you cannot do that as a president, but at least it means may alam kang kahit papaano dun sa technicalities of issues. So now let's go to ISCO. So kamusta ang ISCO camp? What are the developments? Tapos na medyo yung init, no? Medyo may hit
medyo
pero ngayon medyo nag-mellow down.
Ngayon may bagong issue na. Yung paglipat naman nung malaking parallel group ni Pacquiao. If not the biggest, I think sila yung pinakamalaki. Yung si MP Nation.
Right.
Led by a certain Colonel Danny Enriquez.
Can you tell us more about this, Mark, please? Can you inform us? Can you give us a background, what's going on, etc.? Yeah.
So si Colonel Danny Enriquez happens to be a good friend din ng tatay ko. So parati siyang nasa bahay.
Interesting.
So 5 months ago, so mga 6 months ago ganon, he's talking na Manny Pacquiao for president, MP Nation. So ayun, so mabait naman tong si Colonel Danny. So MP, doon nabuo yung MP Nation, tapos meron siyang mga sinama doon sa groups. So sila yung parang run, parang gano'n, sa kay ISCO, yung IM Pilipinas. So sila yung volunteer group na Pacquiao, tsaka mga sectoral. So meron sila para sa senior citizens, sa gano'n, sa iba't ibang LGUs, iba't ibang barangay. So itong si Colonel Danny had a falling out with someone doon sa inner circle ni Pacquiao. So, yun. So, ayaw din niyang pasabi.
So ito yung kwento ng medyo may disintegration daw sa loob ng kampo ni Pacquiao. Ito yung angle.
Oo, parang ganun. Parang nasasabi din niya na na parang may kanya-kanya silang doon kanya-kanyang
faction.
Kanya-kanyang faction Tapos, yun, hanggang umabot sa point na yun na, nagkaaway na sila and umalis sila lahat. Tapos they reached out to Team Orbos, IM Pilipinas, yung main naman yun na parallel group ni Pacquiao, ni Pacquiao ni Isko. Tapos nag-oath na sila last week. Tapos this week kanina, galing na kami doon sa office nila sa Makati. And yung buong office, pasok mo doon, puro picture ni Pacquiao. So they will be
So nag-drop by ka?
Nano kami lahat kanina, yung mga
interesting.
yung mga parallel groups naman ni Isko. So it feels weird. Napapasok kayo doon na
weird.
'di ba? Tapos nandoon yung meron silang mga room, yung mga volunteers, ito yung mga lugar, mga ganun. So yun yung nangyari. So yung sa part naman ni Pacquiao, binalikan naman nila tong si Danny Enriquez. Sinasabi nila na namimera lang daw, ginagamit daw si Pacquiao para kumuha ng mga donations. Tapos may sinabi pa na hindi daw totoong colonel, parang gano'n. Sinagot naman lahat yan ni Colonel kanina, in-interview ko din.
Right.
So yun yung buong issue. Tapos I think this week maglalabas din ng sariling press con yung MP Nation. So yun, it's big news din, lalo na doon sa dalawang kampo kasi
Yeah, I've been hearing some stuff about the Pacquiao camp na medyo may gulo daw, medyo may disintegration, and then there are discussions na he might slide down na lang to VP, kaya nga the Marcos has made that attempt. And then of course he rejected it. In fairness to him, may convictions siya. In fairness to Pacquiao, sabi nga ni Trillanes, second favorite niya si Pacquiao, di ba? So Pacquiao is like the new B9, no? Yung sobrang biglang na.
And in fairness to Pacquiao, di ba yung he was firm nung sa stand niya against martial law. And pagbabayarin daw niya yung mga Marcos. Diba? So
crusade, diba? Medyo crusade mode. Yeah,
medyo crusade mode. So of course,
do you think Pacquiao will go for VP?
At this point, parang
slide
hindi.
Down?
Walang indication ng ganun eh. Ang sinasabi ni Colonel Danny, kasi Pacquiao might be listening to parang hindi ganun ka-okay na advice eh. The people around him. So yun yung
Right.
So yun yung
what do you mean? Like ito yung people na go Pacquiao man go, parang gano'n, like kaya mo yan, like ignoring realities on the ground.
We're doing good, we're doing mamigay ka ng pera, gano'n. So
yes man, yeah.
Oo, so ang problema yun nga, sa pagdating sa finances talaga, doon ako medyo worried for Pacquiao.
Yeah, I feel bad. I mean, I hope he's not gonna burn his money. I mean, I hope Jinky will say something or Tunisia or someone who or Singson,
Chavit doesn't have a business, walang negosyo, walang So
yung kapital, diba? I mean,
from boxing lang tapos na yung career niya.
Yeah, tapos na. Hindi naman siya magnanakaw, so hindi naman siya kikita dun sa gobyerno, So kasi, I'll just tell you this, okay? One angle people are looking at or familiar with because a friend of mine was asking pwede siya mag-spokes kay Pacquiao or something like that, So, there's some people are familiar about some discussions. Some were saying that Pacquiao could be de facto VP of either Lenny or Isko eventually if he slides down. Not de jure, so the formal one will be Willie, and Doc Willie, and of course Kiko. But the de facto one, kumbaga surrogate VP, if I could use the term, will be Pacquiao. And should he back either Isko or Lenny, he could be a big help sa Mindanao vote because, especially Isko is very weak in Mindanao, so it makes sense for Isko. But Lenny's on good terms with also Pacquiao, so I won't be surprised. And mukhang Pacquiao, medyo benta na siya sa mga dilawan ngayon dahil strong yung stance sa mga Marcoses, way stronger than Isko, no? Although I understand where Isko is coming from, no? Although I don't agree with the communication style, medyo mahina recently, but hopefully it can be improved, no? And I'm saying not because I'm partisan. I just want everyone to do well, right? Because you don't want amateur hours. It's sad to see when people mess it out, especially kung magandang potential. So that's it. Now let's go to the final part of our discussion for this episode 19, which is we have not been talking about a lot of other candidates, by the way. So hindi lang ito Lenny, Isko, Pacquiao. Well, Sarah is effectively out, which I've been saying for some time. And BBM, of course, is the lead candidate, and whether he's going to be disqualified or not, which obviously is not going to be disqualified. He got away with so much. He's not gonna be held accountable now under this guy. Calyodi and Doc Waldenbello. And of course, Doc Waldenbello, was my university mentor. So disclosure lang, no. So para people don't say, So, I've worked with him in the past when he was congressman also, because I worked before I advised senators and congressmen in the past, no? Yung long time ago, no? So meron din akong background sa government. So hindi lang ako nagsasayang. I really worked in the government before. So my government Now, going back to this issue, some people are saying if you really want a progressive, like really Bernie Sanders-ish, then go with this, because Calyodi is a labor union leader. By the way, hindi ito mga Makabayan Bloc, hindi sila Makabayan Bloc, right? So of course,
saan ba si Calyodi? So I'm not
Calyodi is a labor union leader. Okay. So leader siya
They're not connected with the Makabayan Bloc.
No. They had I think in 2019 medyo grand alliance sila with the other side, yung mga Makabayan people, but they're not the same.
Anong grupo si Calyodi?
I forget the exact name, but the background I know is if I can use the term, they're center left. They're not left, they're center left, right? So they're like Labour Party. Kumbaga yung Labour Party in UK or SPD ng Germany, parang yun ang counterpart. I would say not even Bernie Sanders level. I would say center left, no? Habang yung Makabayan Bloc is much more left, right? Much more left. And of course, according to the other side, they're front for the other super left, right? Of course, we're not saying that because this is red tagging era. We're not going to go into that debate. But my point is they're more center left. Walden Bello, from what I know, he used to be on the left before, but he was part of the rejectionists. So I think he went to Akbayan later on, which is like closer to the Lenny camp, right? Rizal Ontiveros, ganun. And then later on, he also quit because of issue with Pinoy over Mama Sapano. So he resigned from the Congress. See, person who resigns from the Congress, saan ka makahanap yan? No? So, grabe tong taon to, di ba? And professor in New York, Berkeley, around the world. So kakaiba. So now he'll run for VP for Calyodi. So they're more like center left. And I don't know if you saw it online, medyo F-word si...
Yeah, oo. Yeah,
si Cab Walden, no?
Walden,
kasi daw, ni-rape daw yung bansa ng mga ganito. Tapos ngayon gusto nila mag-presidente ulit or something like that. So he got into...
some traction, So...
Sure.
Maybe you should do that.
I mean, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but it just put them on the map, right?
The last time gumana siya in 2016. The last guy na puro mura won the presidency. I'm just saying, di ba?
So actually, I'm saying if you're anti-Marcos, don't worry at all. There's not only Lenny and Pacquiao. Potentially, there's going to be Calyodi, and in the VP, it's going to be Dr. Bello, who are going to take very colorful language, on the Marcoses and Dutertes and all. So I really look forward to the debates even more now, twice more. And actually, na-interview ko si Calyodi sa GMA before sa SONA, not this SONA, but the previous SONA.
I saw 2000.
Interview. Yeah, very diba? Very steady, very hindi yung pa-activista ganun. Very, very steady, very reasonable. Talagang TNL, tunay na lalaki, chill lang siya.
Meron siyang, I saw his proposals I read some of it.
Right.
He started with a 750 minimum wage.
Right,
so,
right.
Yung gusto niya simula doon. Tapos, end talaga ng contractualization.
Endo, yeah.
Endo, abolish lahat ng employment agency. Yung
right. Mga manning agencies.
Manning agency, manpower agency. Where the contractualization happens.
Right.
And yun talagang hard line pero
tsaka frontliners, increasing budget for frontliners sa DOH and yung mga nasa yung mga tao, of course, in the medical sector, So the policies are interesting to me, very interesting, very sound, some would say, and some would say it's a standard center-left argument in any mature democracy. Unfortunately, in our countries, not yet there, right? Medyo radical pa ang tingin.
Ang main problem ni Calyodi, kasi ngayon ko lang nga din nalaman after talking, na-associate siya masyado sa Makabayan Bloc and of course sa super left nga na sinasabi natin. And pero yun nga, ngayon ko lang nalaman na hindi pala, na he's from a different
group. Hindi. But they have a kind of a unity. I mean, since all of us want change. Buti nga sa kanila, sila may unity team sila na hindi nagawa ng mga, alam mo na, di ba? I think, the Lenny camp, especially the liberal camp, should have learned from the ability of Calyodi. Kasi pare, yung left, napaka-faction din yan. Mas grabe pa yung mga awayan doon kasi ideological na hindi lang interest Ideology. Kaya actually, they're more prone to factionalism in the left than in the center and others. So in fairness to Cagliodi, I think he was able to find some sort of common ground. So he may not be as prominent yet, but he has shown some leadership skills in a very difficult
they need to be
kind of a landscape.
In social media more. I think baka yun lang kulang nila.
Yeah, he's speaking up, but hopefully they can get there. I think Dr. Bello at least knows a little bit more about social media, so I think they can get more involved in this. Hopefully we can also interview them, other candidates in the future.
Meron ding mga issue na lumalabas. I'm not sure lang, so I'm not saying din na totoo to, pero
of course we're discussing issues, no? Yeah.
Cagliodi daw is a possible parang secret candidate ni Lenny. Parang may, kung si Bato yung kay BBM,
ito yung anti-Bato.
May wingman din si Lenny, si Cagliodi. Kasi ganun din eh.
Whether or not he's gonna do that, because he's gonna really be the tough guy on Marcos's and Duterte's and all, perhaps in a language that Lenny cannot do.
Yes, tapos yung kay Isko din, di ba, last week hinit din niya si Isko dahil dun sa endo issue. Kasi si Isko, he's not going to promise na he's going to bring an end.
Can we clarify that? Kasi sorry, I want to give you a chance to clarify, not because you're a spokesman, but because you're more familiar with the thinking of Yorme. Kasi there are two ways to look at it. One is like, you criticize, talaga bayaran na oligarch to, kaya he's openly protecting the oligarch. The other one is saying, wait. I think what Yorme was saying is that habang grabe pa yung economy, unahin muna natin yung employment. And then slowly ayusin din natin yung legal issues around contractualization. But for now, people just need job and to survive, right? Because if we might push for some legal reforms, baka mag-suffer yung employment prospect. I don't know. So I'm hearing multiple interpretations here.
Kasi that's the other side ng contractualization na hindi na pag-uusapan eh. Na if companies are forced na to hire just regular employees at hindi na contractual, ang tendency niyan, mas konti yung i-hire. Mas maingat sila o mas maano sila sa i-hire. Kasi syempre, lahat ng mga hassle and pag regular na yung employee. So, may ano din siya may pros and cons din eh. So,
it brings down flexibility. I mean, I don't agree with that argument. I think I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm disagreeing with you, but I don't agree with that argument because it's very self-serving for but hindi, wag natin packet yung wage nyo kasi
how do they do it sa ibang bansa?
Kaya nga may regulations Kaya nga may regulations Bawal talaga mga ganito sa ibang bansa. You ensure that may security of tenure, no? May certain degree of health benefits, etc. So inayos na nila sa ibang bansa. But in those countries, malakas ang labor unions kasi. At meron sila mga leftist parties in power. SPD, Labor Party, even Democrat Party to a certain degree. Wala tayong ganun So, yung Liberal Party, hindi naman.
That's supposed to be sila Liodi kung mapalaki nila or...
Exactly. Because the left, Liberal Party is not left. They're actually right party. By normal, kumbaga, ang awayan talaga dito is on the right, center right, far right. Yan ang debate sa Philippines. So Liodi and Walden are honestly the only one who are left. And they're not left, they're center left. Right, so hindi to mga radical na komunista ganun. Just to be clear about that, based on comparative, no. So I-compare mo
maybe there's a room for us na ganun.
We should start. We should start somewhere.
Yeah, nahiwalay nahiwalay doon sa mga
Liberal Party.
Nag-insurgency. Mga kasi yun
but isn't that what makabayan is supposed to be, right? Kind of a political democratic
pero hindi sila hindi sila mahiwalay doon They can, di ba? Hindi nila ma-condemn,
associated na talaga. But that's what Akbayan is doing, di ba? Yun yung point ng Akbayan, di ba?
Maybe
Riza Ontiveros is I think the example of what you're saying, right? Aktivista, pero nirespeto niya yung ating saligang batas, democratic process, etc. Hindi yung rebelde, NPA, mga ganun style, di ba? So yeah, that's interesting. All right, so let's end on this point, siguro. Okay, on my part, please, Mark, if you have something to say, please.
Yeah, sorry. On a final note, doon din ako nagtataka din we talked about yung party na for the laborers, for workers, sila Cagliodi. Tapos may dalawang candidate na galing sa hirap, si Isko, si Pacquiao. Diba? Parang galing talaga sa mahirap yan.
And it's not Lenny came from rich too, no? I mean, hindi lang
Lenny is
talaga si Bongbong yung privilege background, diba?
Principal talaga. Middle class or pero
middle class, not even
I'm going back to my point lang na merong gano'n pero nagtataka din ako how come yung pinaka mahirap sa atin, yung mga nasa kali yung mga nasa palengke, yung mga nagtatrabaho ng yung mga kumakain ng why would they choose someone na galing sa anak ng presidente, mayaman, may mga gold bars over
We like winners. Di ba sinabi ni Lelo yan? Gusto natin ng mga successful rich people also.
Hindi,
like Trump, di ba yung mga supporters ni Trump? Puro marami mahirap yan.
That's a great
glamour,
analogy. No?
Glamour,
more than someone na kasama nila. More than someone na who is like them or na umasenso lang. So that's very interesting lang. So
yeah. Even Duterte, anak siya ng governor, hindi siya galing sa mahirap. So let's just be clear, BMW nga yung bike niya. But Isko came really from the poverty. You know, from the slums. Pacquiao also. And Leni Robredo, talagang probinsyana na talagang middle class, ordinaryo lang. I mean, even if mayor si Jesse noon, kita mo naman yung lifestyle nila, di ba? Yung tama raw FX yata yung car nila, yung mga, I mean, no offense, I'm just saying, like they're not even upper middle class. They're like barely middle class, no? All right, sige. Any final points? We wrap up episode 19 because we have an upcoming episode, guys. We're gonna have a guest, another guest. She will discuss Philippines, Brazil, New York, because she has all of that background. We have all of that in one person, in Dr. Cecilia Lera. We're gonna have our discussion next week there in our episode 20. I hope na-enjoy niyo ito kasi for a while, puro mga interviews lang kami. So ito kami naman yung nagchismisan kami dalawa. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you so much, Mark. I really enjoyed our discussions now. Medyo mellow tayo, di ba? Hindi ako masyadong overexcited. Sorry. So I'm beginning to learn. At no kasi, medyo late night kami at saka minsan nagkakape ako. And naglalag din kasi internet, unfortunately, sometimes. So hindi ko alam kung patapos na or nagsimula na. So that's why. Pasensya na, ha? So this is it. Episode 19, Project Pilipinas. Maraming salamat. Please catch also our next episode. Episode 20, we'll discuss populism, Bolsonaro, Brazil, Philippines, Trump, and everything in between. Maraming salamat. Project Pilipinas. God bless you.
God bless. Bye-bye.